Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from deltacx.com. We're a full service CX and UX consultancy, and welcome to episode 146. Are you writing a book or article or course? I've got some advice on publishing that stuff, how much money you can actually make, and what should you look out for in contracts if you're not going to do it yourself. This episode came from some conversations I had with some of you who were curious about this stuff and a couple of you who ran into some ugly contracts. So I figured that I would approach this with my usual zany madcap adventures and my transparency, and I have created a PowerPoint deck for you today. I know you love those, and I'll be taking your questions live. Hi, Elena. I've been looking forward to this since we chatted last week. Good. Get your questions ready. As usual, let's thank quickly the people who are our low ego action heroes, which of course is all of you, but especially the people who are donating financially to the channel. It is optional. I think last year I made $700, and I like to spend that on my broadcasting software and delicious chocolate chips. And thanks to you who have donated today, it's not spring yet here, but I made homemade ice cream and I put those chocolate chips in it. Thanks to you. That was delicious. So let's get ready. Now, I don't have it set. I didn't have time to set up today, so I don't have it set up as well as usual. I'm going to have to flip back and forth between my slides and the chat room. I can't see both at the same time. So that being said, let's take a look at slides, and I think I can press this button. And yes, there you go. So you're not seeing the chat room today. I'm going to flip back and forth to it. Publishing, starring Debbie Levitt. That's me. And here's me, and here's the optional tip jar. And let's get in it. All right, so let's talk about publishing to Medium. Now, we did a whole show on this. It was one of the old reaction streams, and I decided let's bring that into this. Now, sometimes we see Medium articles that are good, bad, other. It sure is a mix out there, isn't it? But did you know that if you join Medium's partner program, you do make money from people who are reading your article because they give you a piece of the what people pay to have a paid Medium account. So let's see if I'm missing any questions. No? Okay. So this is a reminder that very good and very bad articles can make decent money, and it's probably why people love to be published by those big publications. And in some cases, they're publications here on this channel we don't totally love. Your UX Collective and a couple of these others, they just seem to have no standards. Makes me grumpy. But I wanted to show you one of the articles that I talked about last time that had somehow gone semi-viral. And this article has now been seen 36,000 times, and average people are reading it for about 6 minutes and then I guess giving up. And that it's been read for hundreds of hours. You can see this all on the screen. This is a screenshot from my Medium partner program. And you can see that after 36,000 views, whether it's by views or by time, I can't remember, but I've been paid over $2,000 for this article. Now, I just wrote it because I had something to say, and then I put it in the Medium Partner Program as an experiment. I had no idea that it was going to equal some people's monthly pay. So I would suggest you write a good Medium article over a bad Medium article, but remember that all Medium articles in the partner program can make money. These are the ones where you go to them and it says, oh, you only have 2 free articles left, or you're out of free articles. Of course, you can always read them in a private browser, but it's a reminder that maybe I've made about 6 cents per view, or maybe 38 cents for every average reading time. So obviously you would have to get a lot of reads, but some of those big publications have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, so you could be likely to get tens of thousands of views and therefore make a not bad chunk of money. I am watching the chat room, so please do ask any questions that you might have as we go. We are live here on YouTube and LinkedIn and Twitter. Yes, I think I'm still live on Twitter. So there you go. If you're going to do Medium articles and you're looking to make money out of them, then you are looking to join the Medium Partner Program. Some of my articles have made $8. That's it. You know, a few hundred people read them. I got some thumbs up, couple of comments. Life moved on. So remember, your article is going to have to kind of go viral, which probably means it's either really good or really bad. All right, next, let's talk about Udemy courses. I've been putting courses on Udemy for years, and I wanted to show you some of the money that I've made from 2 of my courses. So my new Acture course, which is free here on YouTube, you can just go to the Acture playlist, and of course, don't forget to subscribe. My new Acture course over on Udemy is $19 American 99 cents because that's the lowest non-free price I can sell something for. And if you take a look, it's the course I just put up in January. So, and of course you can get it for free on YouTube. So I don't expect a lot of enrollments on Udemy, but I put it up anyway just to see what would happen. And so it comes up in people's search results there. I have 28 people enrolled and I have made $120. I did the math on that. That means I am getting $4.32 per enrollment. I'm getting about 22% of that selling price. And a lot of different things affect Udemy pricing. Some of it are the sales that they run, so you make less. Some of it is the cut that they take, of course. Some of it is, did somebody buy your course because they had an affiliate link? Because then you make money, Udemy makes money, and the affiliate makes money, and of course they take that out of your cut. So they might make it sound like it's 50, 60, whatever percent, but when all is said and done, you can see it's not. Now, my old Acture courses were about $150. You can see I sold 61 of those over the course of a couple of years. So this was not fast sales. This dripped in slowly because it was expensive for Udemy. And I also turned off sales. So my course was never on sale. You were not going to get it for $10. It was always $150, which is a story we'll be talking about later in this deck. So that meant that I was getting about $65 per sale, which was about 44% of the selling price. And again, that's probably due to Udemy not running sales, because very often, even if your course is $20, like my new one is, they will put it on sale if you let them, and it could be $9, $10, $11, and then you're getting some piece of that. So just a reminder there about that. Okay, let's talk about my courses on Teachable. If you've ever been to ptype.academy or deltacx.academy, which point at the same site, I am using a system called Teachable. Teachable costs me about $1,000 a year. So obviously you want to make sure you are selling some good courses, or it's a good loss leader or marketing write-off if you're going to spend $1,000 having your own kind of online school. I do like the Teachable system. It's not perfect. Hashtag not sponsored. There are things I like about it. There are things I don't like about it, but I've been sticking with them through the years, as you can see from me paying them for, about 5 years now. So, let's see. So now in this case, because it is my own school, I get 100% of the money. But of course, it's not like Udemy where people come looking for courses, they search for courses, and they find yours among other competitors. This is your own school at your own domain. So again, for me, this is deltacx.academy. Yes, .academy is a top-level domain. You can put that in your browser and go over and check out what I have over there. So over almost 5 years on Teachable, 4 or so years, I've made about I've sold $18,000, and I've kept about $17,000 of that. So that's not bad. But again, those were mostly my expensive Acture courses, $150. I think one of them is $195. So I'm not making that money $10 at a time. I was mostly making that money $100 to $200 at a time, and of course slowly over 4 or so years. So it's not like all this money came in at once and it was like, whoa, I don't have to work. Now I also pay for Accredible. I guess that's how you say that. Accredible. And Accredible is a service I use that does the whole giving out of certificates and letting people show their certificates and show that the certificates are still valid. Teachable does have some certificate features, but I like that Accredible has a lot more features related to certificates. So again, in many cases, I'm paying $2,000 a year to be able to give people certificates and these online courses, and you know, I am making more money than that, but I think eventually it's going to even out. Especially those of you who are familiar with the show know that I'm trying to make more and more of my courses free or very cheap. And so this may be something in the future that is a larger cost than what I'm making. Let's see if there's any questions so far. No questions. Nobody has questions? Am I just answering all your questions? All right. I've also been asked, how long does it take to record your own audiobook? Or, hey, I've written some articles or an ebook and now I want to do a narrated version. Or I've written a video course and now I'm going to read and deliver my own video course. Like some of you know, I have the 13 hours of Acture courses here on the channel. Don't forget to subscribe. How long does that take? Now, this is not the part of writing it. The writing it is a whole other story. Writing, editing, rewriting, all of that stuff is another story. I'm really just talking about once it's written and done, how long does it take to get your butt in front of a good microphone, record the stuff, edit it down, and finish it. And the rule of thumb in the narration world is 6x. Now, first of all, you have to know the term finished hour. So you might see FH, you might see PFH, which stands for per finished hour. And the idea is that it doesn't matter how long it took you to record that. It's how much video or audio, like for an audiobook, we ended up with. And so even if you spent a year in the studio reading your book in slow motion, but it ended up being a 4-hour audiobook, this would be 4 finished hours, not the work hours you put into it. So think in terms of, remember that people think in terms of finished hours. So if you're looking to hire someone for your audiobook, or you're being hired to read an audiobook or something for someone, very often prices go in terms of finished hours. Now, you also need to have a decent setup. This is not something that you're going to do with your, you know, the headset you're wearing for your Zoom and Teams calls. You've got to have some good equipment here. So I used to use this microphone in my booth, but now it's at my desk. And this one's not bad. You all hear it every darn day. And this is the Audio-Technica AT4040. I thought it brought out the natural warmth of my voice, but it does pick up a lot of my room noise. You can probably even hear my earrings. So it's a pretty sensitive microphone. It may or may not be right for you or me in the long run. I went and bought a Shure SM7B. Shure, if you're not familiar, is S-H-U-R-E. SM7B, that is just a standard, excellent microphone. It's about $400 American or so. So it is not cheap, but it is not wildly expensive. And I have it plugged into a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. You can get the 2i2. It's probably between $100 and $200 American. It's an interface between professional microphones and your computer. Then you need software to record this stuff into. So my DAW, my digital audio workstation, is Reaper. And then I also use vMix, which y'all know I'm using here for my broadcasting. I also, for my video courses, I record into vMix and into Reaper at the same time. And that way vMix captures what's on my screen, Reaper captures the audio, I clean it up in Reaper, and then I kind of bring these back together in DaVinci Resolve. You know, all of these are not sponsored. I pay these companies, they do not pay me. DaVinci Resolve has a free version, and it's a video editing software that competes with, Adobe and other stuff like that. There's still no questions. Am I still live? Hello? So again, follow the 6x rule. So it's 2x to record. So If it looks like you're going to end up with a 4-hour video course or audiobook, 2x would be 8 hours. That means it will take you 8 hours in front of your microphone to read, reread, correct your mistakes, cough, plane goes over. So usually double the time to read your stuff, especially if you've already practiced it. Practice it a lot. This should not be the first time you're reading it through. So 2x to record, 4x to edit. So again, a 4-hour, 4 finished hours, 4 times 4, 16. That means days of sitting there editing and cleaning stuff up and cutting out mistakes and things like that. So for example, for those of you who've seen my 8-hour HR training that I released last year, that ended up 8 finished hours. So you can estimate that at 48 hours of work, again, outside of the writing of it. This is for reading it, narrating it, acting it out, however you want to call it, changing the slides, recording all of that, editing that. And don't forget that, oh, John says, you're still live, and I'm answering your questions as I go. Yes, that's one of my philosophies, is answer questions before they're asked. Nick approves of your setup. Hi, Nick and Kayleen. Thank you, Nick. Well, actually, if you really want to dig my setup, you can go check the really early podcasts where I used to do them in the vocal booth that my boyfriend built for me. So he built me a professional vocal booth. That's where I record these. I do not do it at my desk because you can hear that we pick up room noise. You hear my dog. She's now chewing on something. My boyfriend plans on printing a page in the printer because we're in the same room. So yeah, look out for that. And don't forget that writing this stuff can take days, months, weeks, some people years. You know, Larry and I are on year 3 of trying to write our book. Writing is not a fast process. Do not expect it to go quickly. Even an article, we started talking about Medium. Even an article can take people days or weeks to feel good about. So, don't pressure yourself. You don't have to have any particular deadline. Go for quality over speed, as I always say. And yes, you want an editor. My articles don't have editors, so I do have some spelling mistakes. But my books have all had editors. And actually, after this show, I'm meeting with my editor to talk about my next book. So yes, you want an editor, at least one. My first book had 1 editor. My second book, I think we had 6 editors, all reading for kind of different things. So yeah, if you're going to write something more long form like a book that especially you expect people to pay for, definitely have those editors. Please, on behalf of the readers everywhere. Oh, and a quick note, I forgot to put this on the slide, but let me talk quickly about something fun. So put a big picture of me up for a second. So something fun, when I started doing audiobook narration, I wanted to learn more about how people perceived that narration. And so I wrote to Audible, and because I said to myself, who are probably the greatest consumers of audiobooks? John, who do you think are the greatest consumers of audiobooks? And it was people with visual conditions and disabilities and the blind. And so I said, great, where's your visual disability community? I would love to learn from them what they like and don't like about how people narrate audiobooks. And they said, oh yeah, there's this Yahoo group of like super Audible fans. And I'm like, great. So I joined the Yahoo group and I said, hi, I'm a new audiobook narrator and I'd like to learn from all of you about what you like and don't like about audiobooks so that I don't make mistakes that make you hate my narration. And all kinds of people wrote in. They were so grateful that I was interested and curious. And I remember some of the advice they gave. One of them was, do not do an accent that you can't really do. And do not do an accent for an entire book. Like, do not do a fake accent for an entire book. Like, if a character swings by and has a sort of accent, okay, go into that accent, come out of that accent. But like, do not read a long audiobook, especially in a fake accent. They were like, we can tell. So, oh, I love that. And then, of course, you have to edit out all of your water drinking. For me, I'm usually editing out my water drinking, my chloroseptic sprays, hashtag not sponsored. So, and the occasional coughing. So, yeah. All right, back to the slides. Let's press the official button that sends everybody back to the slides. And of course, don't forget that you can check out all the links related to this show at deltacx.com/links. You can join the Slack community, which is totally free. You can see all kinds of things like our calendar of events. So yeah, just do it. I said so. Okay, we should be back on the big screen. Okay, very good. All right, next slide. Let's talk about publishing to Amazon. So I self-published my books, and I plan to again. I thought that was a good experience. Did it make me a lot of money? It didn't, but I didn't necessarily set out to make money with my books. I did price my books a little bit on the low to moderate side. I didn't want a traditional publisher, and I didn't work to market them nearly at all. So I didn't go in to make money with my books, and there you go, they didn't make a lot of money. So I think this is a screenshot of all the money that Delta CX has ever made, and it probably comes to a few $1,000s. So definitely not quit your job money. But at least I had total control of my book. People like my book. It's got good ratings on Amazon. That feels good. People have told me it's helped them. That's wonderful. And I didn't publish it for the money. So you can see, and wait till if you think I don't want money for my book now, wait till you see how I publish my next book, not the one with Larry, the other one I'm working on. So make sure, unless you have a really unique, amazing story that a publisher is going to pay a lot for in some sort of publishing deal, especially if you're self-publishing, make sure that you are writing a book for reasons other than money, because you're probably not going to make a lot of money on a book. Just not. I'm sure there are people who self-publish and do way better than I do, but I did write a pretty niche book. My next book is going to have a much broader audience, but I'm actually going to look for creative ways to make that free and low cost for people, because again, my priority, as many of you can tell, is getting my message and my ideas out, rather than can I make $7 off of you from buying my book. So the book will be available because people told me they love books and they still want to buy books, but I will also make it available in some other ways that will cost less or possibly nothing, because I want to get it out there. So there you go. That's a little bit about the money you can make in Amazon. You can see that Amazon reports it in a nice, confusing way in all different currencies at the same time, so that I don't even know how much I've made, because I don't know how much these currencies are in whatever money I'm thinking of. So there you go. All right, let's have a couple of warnings about publishing contracts. Now, those of you who are thinking about writing articles, article series, books, courses, whoever it's for, as soon as we're talking contracts, there could be some stuff you need to look out for. So beware of these third-party companies that might be paying you to write or produce books, articles, video courses, etc. And by third party, I don't mean Udemy. They're just a platform where you can put it up for sale. I'm talking about companies that are probably publishers in some way, like O'Reilly, Rosenfeld, or Pact are pretty common in the UX and tech spaces. Hi, Kayleen. Linda says, wow, people in India love your book. No, Linda, actually, they've had a very hard time getting my book. It's that the rupee doesn't have a very good exchange rate, and so they have to pay a lot for it. Record labels. Yeah, Kayleen, it does. The whole contract and publishing thing does remind me of record labels. So note that a lot of contracts will say that the publishing company, or the record label, the publishing company owns or co-owns your work. You have to be very careful of these things. Sometimes they say they have exclusive rights. Sometimes they say they have non-exclusive shared rights with you. But you have to be careful, because while you certainly do want non-exclusive rights so that you have some rights and they have some rights, it still sometimes means there's still stuff in the contract that makes it sound like they can still do whatever they want because they have some rights. They have some ownership over this. That means very often that they can publish, republish, or broadcast whatever this is wherever and however they want. If you record a video course for someone, they can give you $10. They could sell that video course 2 zillion times and you will have gotten your $10. So unless your contract specifically says that you're getting a cut of the sales and how that's going to be reported or audited, you're typically just getting some sort of flat money to do a thing. So be careful. They can broadcast it and rebroadcast it and make a derivative version or shorter version or longer version, sell that. They could translate it into other languages, and depending upon what the contract says, you may or may not see money. They could take your articles, turn them into an ebook, get paid for the ebook. You get nothing for the ebook. You got paid for your articles. So you have to remember, you have to go by the letter of what the contract says and not your dreamy hope and fantasy that these people are going to really take care of you and do the right thing. That is a dreamy fantasy and usually not true. And sometimes the contract limits what you can do. You can't broadcast this, you can't publish this, you can't sell this, because they don't want competition. They don't want to put it up for sale in wherever their world is and then find that you've put it up for sale and they don't make money from that. The money goes straight to you. So the contract could even prohibit you from selling your own whatever it is unless you've bought it first from them. Like if it's a physical book and this is a publisher, you can buy them from the publisher. Now you can sell them. But if it's like a video course, you can't just post the video course wherever you want. Chances are you have to check the contract for what the rules are. I'm just checking for any other questions since I can't see that stuff today. A few other things to look out for when we're talking about these contracts. They might have total control of your audiobook. That means you might not read your own audiobook. They might hire somebody else to read your audiobook for whatever reason. They might think they don't like your voice. They might think they already have a relationship with this narrator. Doesn't matter. If the contract says they control the audiobook or these other variations of your content, then they control it. They don't have to check this with you. You don't get to have final say or possibly any say, depending upon what the contract says. The publishing company might have total control of how this is marketed. They might do amazing marketing. They might do terrible marketing. They might do no marketing. You know a story is coming, right, Kayleen? In some cases, they might have control or final say over the content. Sometimes these publishing companies are your editor. Sometimes they will make changes to what you've written. We've also talked in Slack about a certain publishing company that wants to co-write your book with you as some sort of collaborative process. I don't know if they're going to overrule what you want to say or change your tone of voice. Who knows? Once you sign away these rights in a contract, you have to go by what the contract says. You can't later say, hey, I don't like the relationship I have with the editor. They have more power than I expected. It shouldn't be expected. It should be in the contract. You should be well warned of what's coming. Kayleen says, ooh. Elena's commenting, excuse me. As much as I would love to do my own audiobook, I simply don't have the time, energy, or expertise. Any suggestions on how to find one that fits the niche? Do you mean a voice actor or an audiobook to listen to? Like, are you looking for someone to read the book that you'll write? Or, I'm not sure what you're asking. Elena, ask again. Kayleen says, can publishers shelf your book if they don't like it, like record labels shelf albums? Yeah, absolutely. If for some reason your publishing company doesn't want to support you or doesn't want to invest in it, the contract might not require them to spend a certain amount on marketing or put in certain marketing efforts. They can absolutely publish it and kind of let it go, which is part of a story I have coming up. But I also want to see what Elena is saying. And sometimes, like record companies, it is possible that your contract will say that anything this company does to promote you or your book costs money that they will look to be reimbursed for later. Elena says, oh, I mean a voice actor and an audio engineer that I can hire. Yes. Amazon, who now owns Audible, has an entire website where you can put up your audiobook and you can get people to audition for you. And then, of course, you would pay them something for what they do. I haven't been to that site in a while, and I'm forgetting the name. I think it's ACX. It's like the Audiobook Creator Exchange or something like that. You can put up an excerpt from your audiobook, you can put up some notes, and you will get, you can put up what you're paying, and you can get some auditions. Many people are paying a flat rate. Some people pay per finished hour, and some people offer a cut of the audiobook because it's a bit of a hobby book and they don't know how much money they're going to make. I read one of those for practice and I think I've made $8 so far. So yeah, remember, check your contract. Sometimes everything that they spend money on might be reimbursable back to you. That's how a lot of bands made no money on their records. So it's good to know about and check your contract for that. So be careful. And ultimately, a contract is a legally binding document that should stand up in court. You don't want to go cheap on this one. Make sure you have a real qualified lawyer who understands contracts help you understand the contract. Don't sign it if you don't understand it or you don't agree. And if you ask them about something in the contract and they say, oh, that's standard, and they don't give you examples or the examples sound a little too general, you don't have to sign it. Make sure you are talking to a real lawyer. Don't try to do this yourself. I did it myself because I have a whole family of lawyers and I thought I was going to catch all the things, and there was something I missed, and that's why a story is coming up. Let's tell a story. So many of you are familiar with the fact that until I put out the new Acture 10 video courses that I have up on YouTube and in other places, I had a set of Acture 8 video courses. These were created in April 2016, and I actually did them under a contract with O'Reilly, which is why I can say O'Reilly published author. And they were paying me to do my Acture 8 courses, which I think ended up about 9 hours long, but certainly much longer to write them and record them. And they edited them. So the contract said they would edit them. The contract said that I couldn't sell them. Only they could sell them. So they didn't want me to compete against them. But hey, this was O'Reilly. Yeah, go ahead, sell it. And I think I had two options. I could either be paid flat and just walk away with a few $1,000s, or I could be paid a percentage of the sales. Again, thinking O'Reilly, that O'Reilly was going to really push this, I chose to be paid a percentage of the sales. Now, once in a while, I still do get a few dollars from O'Reilly, who has this up on their site. And I guess people haven't found my Acture 10 courses and somebody actually buys this. So this is alive. But what ended up happening was once it was all done and it was edited and it was out there, I found that they weren't marketing it. And it wasn't being marketed at all. And when I asked them, okay, well, what's your marketing plan for this? They were like, what's your marketing plan for this? And I was like, no, what's your marketing plan for this? And they're like, okay, we'll write a tweet. And I was like, say what? And they wrote a tweet and they at someone else named Debbie Levitt, who wasn't me. And it was like the saddest tweet I'd ever seen. And that was it. One tweet. And I told them to take it down because it was so awful and ridiculous and clearly not marketing. And I also went to a couple of UX conferences that year and into the next year. And O'Reilly had bought a booth. There they were in a booth with stacks of books and all kinds of stuff. And they had also at the time, because it was 2016, they had released my course on a DVD because it was videos. And I said, where's my course? Why aren't you here with DVD boxes? And they were like, who are you? And I was like, I'm one of your published authors. I'm speaking at this conference. This is an opportunity for you to sell stuff because I'm a speaker and you have something with my name on it. And they're like, oh, we didn't know about that. And I was like, sounds like you didn't even try. So there they were at in a booth in a conference where I was speaking. They didn't even have my stuff. I was extremely unimpressed. So a year into that relationship, in spring 2017, I wrote to them and I said, I think we have to find a way to cancel my contract because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for you to not promote this at all, but then also have a contract that says I can't sell it. I think you need to pick one. You either have to start actively promoting this or you have to give me back the rights because this makes no sense. This is my stuff. And they recognized that they had not done a good job promoting it. And they actually said, okay, we'll cancel. We will update your contract to remove the exclusivity clause. So that then meant that O'Reilly had this course. They could continue selling it and making their cut from it. And I get paid, which I do. I get a little piece of it. And then I could start selling it as long as I didn't sell it for a price lower than they were selling it. And that's why my actual 8 courses remained fairly expensive until I've just started taking them down and replacing them. Because unlike some people who write a contract, I believe in following the letter of the contract. So even though O'Reilly did no marketing and tried to own my stuff, I still fulfilled my end of it. So I have kept the price where it was. And now that I'm replacing these with Acture 10, then I can choose to charge whatever I want, which I've chosen nothing because I've been putting them up on YouTube. Please ask questions as I go. And then O'Reilly hired me a couple of years ago to do a couple of live webinars on their educational platform. And they were going to give me, I think, $1,000 to do the same webinar twice. And I said, okay, but don't send me a contract that says you exclusively own this because this is content I'm doing all over the place. You can't own this. They were like, okay. And then they sent me a contract that said they exclusively owned it. And I said, I can't sign this. You can't exclusively own this. You have to write non-exclusive so that you can do this with it and I can do what I'm going to do with it. So they changed it. But I knew, and they made it sound like, well, if you do these 2 webinars for us, we might have you do more. But I knew they were lying to me because I knew that once they had my webinars in their education system, they could just let people watch the archive. Like there was no reason to pay me to do more of them. So I took the money knowing that it was probably the only money that I was going to see from that. And that was fine at the time. So you have to have some reasonable expectations. Don't fall for the maybe we'll have you do more stuff for us. No way. And especially now that I'm talking about them like this, I do not expect to do anything with O'Reilly. Some people have had very positive experiences with O'Reilly. I just happen to have had 2 shaky experiences with O'Reilly where I came away feeling like, man, I really had to work extra hard to protect myself there. And even so, I ended up in a situation I didn't fully want to be in. So again, many people have better experiences than I do. And I'm sure whatever I'm saying about O'Reilly, other people might say about other publishing companies. So it's not like it's just O'Reilly. I would imagine they're doing very standard things for the industry. Now, let me tell you, when I had written my Delta CX book, and then I'll come back to my last slide, when I wrote the Delta CX book, I thought about seeing if big publishing companies would be interested in it. And I decided to talk to O'Reilly. I said, hey, we have a relationship already. We've worked together before. Are you interested in this book? And they were like, nah, probably not. And I was like, well, it kind of falls into the same bucket as your Lean UX book. That's, some of who the target audience might be. And they were like, we don't know who's reading the Lean UX book. And I was like, oh, Actually, it's not the same target audience because engineers are reading the Lean UX book more than anybody else, people doing scrum.org. So not impressed there. I spoke with another publisher and they sent me a contract, and the contract was mostly fair. But when I asked them what they were going to do to market my book, they made it sound like we'll try to get it into libraries and we'll do some tweeting. And my thought was, no gracias. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. My thought was, no thanks. I don't think I want to give you partial ownership of my book and some percentage of the sales so that you can try to get it into libraries and do some tweets. No gracias. So that was a big no. But I have one more slide that I want to show you because there's something else out there that I think is interesting, but I'm not saying that I'm going to necessarily do it. I think it's interesting. It's interesting but expensive. And that slide looks like this. How many people are familiar with this book, which was a huge bestseller, especially in America? I know my friend read this book and thought it was like the greatest book of the last X years. And it's the personal story of this particular guy, David Goggins. Now, I haven't read the book, so I'm not saying anything for or against David Goggins. I'm not saying anything about his book or anything like that. I know nothing about him. However, I am familiar with what's on the screenshot here, which is he hired a company called Scribe to publish his book and market it and do his audiobook. And so Scribe, which again, hashtag not sponsored, I have no ties to them. I'm not working with them. They're not paying me. I just happen to know of them for some strange reasons, not a story not worth going into, that I happen to be familiar with who they are. Elena says, there are a lot of bestsellers. I haven't heard of this one. Yeah, it was a few years ago. And so if you look at the Scribe website, they talk about what they can do. Now, in some cases, they're ghostwriting for people. In some cases, they're editing. In some cases, they're acting as the publisher. They're helping people self-publish. They do marketing and things like that. I'm curious about them, so I'm gonna talk to them because it's got to be better than the publishing company who's going to half own my book and write 3 tweets. So I'm curious right now, and I'm looking into some of these services to see, can they help me market my book? Because let's face it, I'm bad at marketing. If I were good at marketing, I'd probably have more YouTube subscribers. Won't you please subscribe and tell a few friends about our channel? Yes, you will. I know you will. If I were better at marketing, I'd probably have a lot more stuff. But I'm bad at marketing. Maybe I'm just too honest. I don't know. But it was interesting to see him kind of on the homepage of Scribe, because I've known about Scribe for years, and at first they seemed like mostly a ghostwriting company, and I didn't want that. But it looks like they've really expanded into an interesting marketing service. I got a couple of proposals from some independent people who were like, yeah, I've got a marketing package and I help you with this and that and this and that and a marketing plan, but then you do the plan. And I'm thinking, no, don't make me do the plan. But for that, they wanted about 2,700 American dollars. Now, if you're on the Scribe website, and we all know Kayleen's already on the Scribe website, then you can see that their prices are not low. Let's just call them not low. Some of their packages are 18,000 American dollars. Some of them are 24,000 American dollars, and I'm sure there's higher and lower. So this is definitely not a small investment. But obviously, if you think that your book is going to sell a lot or help you get paid speaking or paid consulting or something else, then obviously it's at that point, it's a marketing expense, because you're trying to promote yourself, whether or not you care about the book sales. I think that was the end of my PowerPoint. I wanted to talk about that. Yeah. Oh, hello. Here's my system. Hello. So that was some of the things that I wanted to tell you about writing, publishing. How much money can these things make? How much money do they make if you don't sell too much? How much money do they make if they do pretty well? I've talked before in the show about how much I make on the YouTube channel. I think that's not new. But also, again, I'm not monetizing it in every way I can. Every time YouTube sends me a survey, I can tell I am not their average bear because I am not doing everything I can to squeeze money out of all of you. So, so there's that. Any questions? Any questions about anything really? Writing, publishing, contracts, the writing process. I'm happy to answer, and be as honest and transparent as usual. Otherwise, we've got about 15 minutes left together before I meet later with my editor. I'm always happy to talk to her. Otherwise, we follow each other on Instagram, and I keep up with her that way. I should recommend my editor, even though it would probably mean she has less time for me. Hashtag not sponsored. I pay her. Let me see if I can find her website and put that up on the screen. Hold on. All right, let's see if I can find this. Yes, not the greatest website in the world, no offense to her, but a great person. She's Jill Ivy in Pennsylvania, and she goes by Dilettante Creative. And not much of a website, but again, a fantastic human being and a great editor and great PR also. She did a little PR stuff for me once upon a time some years ago, and just great stuff. So I'm looking forward to throwing more money at her if she has time and interest. But again, last chance to ask some questions. Otherwise, we'll be winding down today's show. Let's take a look at our schedule coming up. Friday, of course, is Critical Thinking Stream at 6:30 Italy time. We will be changing our clocks this weekend. So remember, as of Monday, I'll be back to regular time for some of you where you changed clocks before I did. So Monday is Think Out Loud. Tuesday is Office Hours Ask Me Anything. We might have a special guest. She's going to confirm today, so there might be a special guest next Tuesday for Office Hours. And let's see, Wednesday I'm not doing a show. Friday is April 1st already. Wow. Critical Thinking Stream. Monday is the usual stuff. And don't forget, let's put this up on the screen. Don't forget, I have the one-day workshop coming up, transforming toward customer centricity for everybody at every level, especially you managers and leaders and executives who are trying to raise CX and UX maturity where you are, and you want a detailed how-to. So that is for everybody at every level. You can find it at deltacx.link/TTCC-training, TTCC for Transforming Toward Customer Centricity. It is $97 American if your company is paying, and it is $27 American if your company is not paying. Kayleen says, how do you go about finding an editor that you trust if you don't want publishing contracts? Yeah, so I'm very lucky that I found Jill. And I found Jill quite randomly. A few years ago, I was part of like this business networking group, and it was just a business networking group with people from all different businesses just trying to connect with each other and, get business from each other or referrals from each other. It wasn't worth what I paid, but I did meet some great people who I'm still in touch with. In fact, friend of the show, Oz. Sometimes Oz shows up, the guy who knows Excel. I met him in that group. And so luckily I did meet some great people in the group, and that's how I found Jill. How else would I find an editor if I hadn't found Jill that way? I would probably be asking some author friends. I would probably be Googling and trying to meet people. But luckily, I had met Jill in person, knew her online from the group, and then the group had a physical get-together. This might have been 2017 or 18. Probably 2018, and met her in person, just thought the world of her, following her on Instagram, and so we keep in touch, and I know she's good peeps. So yeah, finding an editor is, it's like UX. It's easy to find an editor. It's not easy to find a good editor. And one thing that I liked about Jill was that she didn't try to change my voice, but but she did make some improvements to my writing style. And so she didn't just say, hey, you're missing a comma here. It was really like, hey, you wrote this, and I don't think it makes sense because of what you said here. Like she was really connecting all these things. So I'm going to try to bring in Jill wherever I can. Editors generally charge per page. So, and that varies. So I can't say you should only pay X dollars per page, but generally they charge per page. And so, of course, the longer your book or article or thing is, they might charge by word, if you don't have traditional pages, like it's going to be a web article. So that's normally the way I've seen editors charge. It doesn't make sense for them to have flat fees because you might have a short book or a very long book. So it's typically by something that relates to the amount of effort they're going to put in, so words or pages. And so, yeah, so that could cost you, if you have a book that's hundreds of pages, editing might cost a few $1,000s. But again, it could be worth it. So, yeah. I'm also offering to do some editing for some people's books, especially if they will give me credit for that. I do prefer to be paid, but I'm trying to help out a few people with a little bit of free editing, in exchange for credit, just to help some new authors get out there. So let me know if you think you need a little editing help. I cannot offer it to everybody for free, and I cannot offer unlimited help for free, but I am trying to pitch in a bit. There you go. So, Kayleen, we will pay you the standard editing rate. Oh, my neck is stiff today. Oh. Phew. Any other thoughts or questions? So, Elena's got ACX to dive into. Kayleen is going to become an editor. Wait, wouldn't word count be more accurate than page count? Word count could be more accurate than page count, but sometimes they go by pages. Either way, talk to your editor and see if they're going by pages or words. I think I paid Jill per page for my first book. She didn't have time for the second book, so I think I paid her per page. Elena says, thanks. Informative, lots to think about. Well, Elena, you were waiting for this one. So are there any questions that are on your mind that I didn't answer? Now is that chance. Oh, Linda, you're going to be joining our thing. Thank you so much. That just came in. Yeah, so we've just had someone sign up for Transforming Toward Customer Centricity, and I hope everybody else will too. And let's see what else I can throw on the screen. So last chance to ask any questions. Of course, if you're watching this in the future, hello in the future, you can certainly ask your questions in the YouTube comments. I do answer all questions personally, and so please ask any questions you might have. Happy to help. Elena says the audiobook setup was the biggest one. I was kicking back and forth. I think I'm going to outsource the recording instead of trying to do it myself. LOL. Yeah, ACX is the place to do that. And again, take a look around and see what other people are charging based on the type of book that you have. There's all kinds of stuff on ACX. There's people reading romance novels. There's people reading fantasy fiction. It's not just like Debbie's business books. There's self-help books and things like that. Kayleen says, I'm an editor now. Only part-time. So that covers some stuff. I hope that helps some people. Again, I didn't go into the writing process. I think everybody's writing processes are going to be different. Even my writing process is different from time to time, but typically I start with an outline of the key points I want to make or the facts I want to cover. And then I build that out as, an outline form, 1, 1A, 1B, 1C. And I start to give it some shape with what's going to be a sub point of other things. I tend to build that out more and more. Sometimes I first turn it into slides and I try them out here or at some conferences. I see what kind of questions people have. I see where they got a little bored. I clean up some of the script, and then usually I start my book with the script from the slides, and then I'll add more. So my books are usually longer than the slides version. Kayleen said, sorry, I thought I heard my name somewhere. Yeah, because you're helping out on a certain book. Wink, wink. But anyway, that is that story. So again, everybody, let me know if any questions come up. Please do comment on this show after it's all over, since that helps in the YouTube algorithm. And of course, another reminder, if you are looking at writing a CX or UX book and you are from a marginalized community, I definitely want to help edit your book for free. I think there are not enough voices from various communities in UX right now. And so I want to make sure that those people are getting some extra help because they need some extra help and they need more support. And I mean, everybody needs support, but to me, there are some people who need a little extra support because of some unfortunate things that have happened in various places and industries over the years. And it's the least I can do is offer some extra help. Okay, so I'm going to play us out of here. Thanks again for the people who suggested the show or requested the show. And I will see everybody Friday for Critical Thinking stream. Everybody be safe and well, and I will catch you in a couple of days. Bye. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are